Yeah, talk to me the first A-10 assignment. That was 2003. So, I mean, Iraqi freedom was going. Enduring freedom was, all these things were kind of ramping up. So what was that first assignment like?
First assignment, I graduated my A-10 training course. 04 ABD was the class. Best class ever to go through. Davis-Monthan Air Force Base. We had the Hog Wild van. We popped that video out.
Yeah, I think it's a YouTube video. It might have been like one of the first videos on YouTube.
Yeah, that was produced on my computer in my living room. Yep.
All right, I got to make a note. I got to go find that. That's got to be out there somewhere still.
Yep. First assignment was the 354th Fighter Squadron. This shirt that I'm wearing right now, Squadron Commander was Martha McSally, former senator. We deployed to Afghanistan in 04-05. And I learned a few things there. Not a whole lot of action for me there. There was a lot of learning to be had. Let's see. What do you want to hear about the first deployments? Because I could go on for. I mean, where do I direct my stories here?
It's wherever you want to go with it. It's follow your heart. There's
right.
No wrong answer with it. I mean, I'm interested. I think one like that 04, 05 time frame. Like I think back, and now you're having to think it's 20 years ago, but things were really, I think, really ramping up in Afghanistan, and then Iraq obviously had kicked off. It was really hot and heavy, and then like a little bit, hey, we won. Again, I want to find the mission accomplished banner. Whoever has that in their bar in their house, like George Bush and the aircraft carrier, and then obviously the insurgency kicked off in Iraq, and
Okay, so 2004, 2005, we were. I'll just say philosophically, I realized as a young captain, or I was a first lieutenant at that time, that it was kind of a tenuous reason for us to still be there in 2005 after the Taliban had been very well decimated up to that point. Flying A-10s, doing, what did they call it? Election support, or we would fly low level around the entirety of Afghanistan within small arms fire range, putting ourselves at risk so that more people would see us and feel supported and safe to go out to cast their ballot. I don't know how that did that. I don't know how flying low in A-10s is going to, swell the heartstrings of the locals. I mean, if a Russian airplane flew over my house, I wouldn't be like, yeah, let's go to the ballots.
Right.
So that's what we were doing.
And good idea
after we had a couple of airplanes come back with bullet holes in them, we stopped doing that. Took a while though. So the thrust there was the counterinsurgency. We're developing our new tactics for counterinsurgency there. We're kind of in the middle of this self-licking ice cream cone. Our presence there is creating fights, which is creating casualties, which is creating, work for the A-10s. We go do close air support. We go do a combat search and rescue for a downed helicopter. We go do the things that need to be done because we're there, and none of that stuff would happen if we weren't there. So it develops itself. Kind of an interesting fact about that era. And this continued on forever.
Sidebar. This is the piece I think would be interesting, because I didn't have this realization until much later in life. But like OIR, Operation Inherent Resolve, ISIS, this is the point where they were manning checkpoints. They were marching down the road together. Turns out not a great thing to do if you don't own the skies, is to gather in mass. So after a bunch of them just departed the fix via kinetic strikes, they realized, oh, maybe we shouldn't man checkpoints. We'll put prisoners at checkpoints. Maybe we shouldn't march around. So then you start thinking like, man, you just want to get in the fight. Teeth are sharp, fangs are through the floor. And then you're like, kind of like, what are we doing here? And then you're like, yeah, well, like, I don't know. If someone dropped the bomb on my neighbor, maybe the guy's a jerk, but now you piss me off because you've shown, I mean, it's like this thing just like the cycle just goes and goes and goes, let alone like the thought of like, really, what are we doing here? And then are they really bad? Like, how do we know this guy's bad?
Yeah.
This one,
At this point, what is the probability of any of these motherfuckers in Afghanistan having any impact on a single person CONUS ever in their lifetime? What's the probability? It's pretty low.
Yep. Big old, and we just generated this big old machine to.
Yeah. And I felt in 2004, 2005 that we were there to pay the DFAC workers. That contract was kind of the driving force behind why we were in Afghanistan in 2005. Lots of money to bring steak night to Bagram.
Yeah. Surf and turf night.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, I enjoyed it.
I don't know. Going to Bagram, there's like one guy, man, he had the 1,000-yard stare, and you're like,
the ice cream dude?
yeah, it's like, this thing is going to be, this is full of poison. It's full of rat poison right now.
Oh, man. There were.
I can't blame him.
3 different deployments. I met the same ice cream dude that had like one hand, and he would serve you up the ice cream. 1,000-yard stare. I mean, you could not. It was like bets to get this dude to smile. Nope, nothing.
Oh man, sorry, I digress. We did go down that rabbit hole, but yeah,
capped a little bit there.
Yeah, it'll happen. Yeah, so yeah, this time, all right, you're doing some work. Supporting, I think this is the purple finger, purple thumb election time frame.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Yep. So we got a new president elected for Afghanistan, and anyways, that's not important. The progression of A-10 operations, that one is kind of cool for me. 2004 first deployment to my last deployment being 2014. I flew A model plus with a bandaged on targeting pod back in 2004. So the jet was not mech'd for targeting pod in 2004. We had to do like up, down, left, right, BA select start to get the targeting pod to go to the next target. And you can really mess it up. You could have the targeting pod looking at something, and then your HUD is selected on something else, but your weapons are looking at a third thing. So when you hit pickle, your targeting pod could be lasing the target, but the airplane is doing release stuff through the HUD for a different place. And that bit me in the ass. My last training sortie for my targeting pod upgrade before the 2004 deployment, I'd ripped 6 BU-33s on the tractor at range 2 in the Barry Goldwater range complex. I got sitting there. The ranger was like, knock it off, go the fuck home, call me when you get home.
That's awesome.
So guess what? The next thing that I get to do that's going to be doing that delivery is GBU-12 real world Afghanistan friendlies are close. So I'm like sucking seat cushion like a big dog. I'm like, I better get these switches right.
Dude. That sounds like a nightmare. With it not being integrated, because people listen not familiar. I mean, now, right? You queue up a steer point, a GPS waypoint. It's going to throw a diamond out there in your HUD, your targeting pod. Like
you got helmet mounted queuing. Yeah,
it's all tied together. So you're looking at the same spot if you switch it. But dude, if you got to look in potentially in 3 different spots and thinking, oh yeah, I'm good to go. I'm going to be a champion here. I'm going to be a hero.
I remember distinctly going right before I pick. I go, man, these crosswinds are worse than I thought.
That's awesome.
Nope, not crosswinds. Different target selected. So
that's awesome.
Oh, man. But I did it right in Afghanistan. I got that bomb on target. It tracked directly to a empty hole that was supposed to be RPGs and stuff, a weapons cache. That's what they called it.
It's better than train denial. That's my favorite. Drop a GBU-54 on a dirt road. You're like, you know they're going to drive around that hole, right? But hey, we got them.
So I tell this story about the progression of working at A-10. A model, 10 minutes from showing up on frequency, on station with your JTAC to bombs on target is good. You're doing good. Average. You can get better if you're leaning forward with your radios and stuff like that, but 10 minutes from on station to bombs on target, you're all right. With the C model and the helmet mounted queuing, all the different radios that were available and the data link, if you're not dropping bombs on target with a JTAC that's ready in 30 seconds, you're fucking up. I mean, the jet is just that ready and that much more capable. It develops that much more SA for you. And so it's a killing machine. The C model A-10 is dialed in. and the type of weapons that keep it relevant that are still going. I can't believe they retired it. Got standoff now. You got, I mean, anything you could ask for in a weapons delivery platform. Maybe not the standoff you want, but it's still got decent standoff with the weapons that are available. So laser rockets, laser mavericks, pinpoint accuracy, you know, so having flown the C model in combat and being able to be a part of that progression was pretty badass for me. I mean, I feel fortunate to have experienced that breadth of A-10 capability. It was pretty special.
Well, A model plus. So you mentioned, are you dropping GBU-12, so laser guided 500-pound bombs? But prior to that, probably doing diving attacks like dumb bombs.
Oh
so,
yeah.
I mean,
we had part of our loadout was dumb bombs in Afghanistan in 0405.
Really?
So we're doing Mark 82 dumb bombs. Yeah. And then we got later on, we did the GB12s. We had the GB12s with the dumb bombs, but then we got the GB38s and the GPS stuff was later. There weren't very many GB38s on our first deployment. They just didn't have that many built for us.
Interesting. Man, I mean, obviously a lot of tech got generated in those years.
Yeah.
A lot of money was made, that's for sure, but definitely a lot of tech got generated out of those years.
Yeah. Just amazing how I could go, if the tanker was on the link, we had no radar. So it used to be, hey, tanker, where are you in relation to the air refueling IP? Give me your heading, your speed, and distance and range or bearing from the IP. And then I would go calculate in my head, where am I? What angle I need to go to intercept him and do a fighter turn on with no radar. So now with the data link, I'm like, hook, select, 100 miles away, see him in the eyepiece. I'll just go there. Ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't feel so bad for A-10 guys. Like, I don't know how they do this how they do it. One, without a radar and without an interrogator. You like turn like, just start interrogating, like, all right, boom, there's a mode 2 hit. That's my guy. Or, you know, like there's no other way I'd be able to go.
Yeah, it's all up here, man.
Be a champion. Man, just, yeah, busy times for sure. But it's cool to see that progression of the A-10. Interesting aspect. Flash has talked about on the podcast quite a bit. We had a couple of like A-10 centric discussions around it, but yeah, obviously retiring it, that's a sad thing to come. But the corporate knowledge that has been built over the last 25 plus years, or the entire lifespan of the A-10, it doesn't seem like there is a game plan to encapsulate that knowledge and transfer it to the next weapon system, which, not a good thing.
Yeah, I would say that there's been a pretty hefty transition from A-10 world to F-35 world. So, and I think the F-35 is malleable enough in their culture that everybody's willing to take on a little bit of that A-10 attitude and gain from the number of A-10 guys that are moving over to F-35. So I'm not fully disheartened at this point that we're going to lose everything, but we do atrophy a whole aspect of that attitude and the ground party centric approach to tactics when you go and dilute it with all the F-35 additional. It's like a F-16 jack of all trades, master of none type of approach.
Yep.
And with that high end tech stuff, you only got so much time to get in the vault and study and get good at certain things. So there will be a detriment. And that little air tractor is not going to close the gap. Sorry.
You don't say. It does seem interesting, the air tractor. I mean, a low cost option, decent loiter time, but like very small and unique mission sets.
Yeah, and it's not going to be flexible for CAS. It is a terrible CAS platform. If you look where the pilot's nugget is versus the ground, you can't see anything because there's a big old Hershey bar wing in your way.
Yeah.
And look at the difference of where the pilot is in the A-10. Out front, no wings in the way, you can see everything. So to me, that's one of the primary problems with that platform trying to take over any of the close air support stuff. It looks like it's more sensor centric. You got two sensor balls on there and a dude in the back. you're going to be doing predator ops manned.
Whatever on target.